She may say the same thing about you.
Oh, no, I was like sitting on the couch.
Okay, let's look at this. Okay, so what are the distance formulas? Okay, if we're talking about a number line. Okay, now that's the midpoint formula. Okay, but this is one of the formulas we need. It's A minus B, and we have to take the absolute value. Okay? All right, now what about the coordinate plane? X2 minus
x1 squared plus y2 plus minus y1 squared.
There you go. Okay, so find AB if A is negative 2, 4, and B is 6, negative 2. So obviously that's on the coordinate plane. So we're going to do the giant square root one. So we've got 6 minus a negative 2 squared plus negative 2 minus 4 squared. Minus a negative goes positive. That's 8. 8 squared is 64. That's negative 6. Negative 6 squared is 36. So that's the square root of 100, which is really what? 10. Okay, so we should have gotten 10 for the distance here. Okay. Everybody good with that? Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Now, all right, so this next one, it says find A, B if A is at negative 11 and B is at 5. So we use this one. Okay, so the distance is the absolute value of negative 11 minus 5. So that's negative 16, which comes out as positive 16. Okay, any questions there? All right, and then the last one, we have to remember our radical skills. So I've got 6 and 4. That goes to 2 and 2. So that's 2 square root of 6 minus 48 is 4 and 12. That goes to 2 and 2. That's 4 and 3. And that goes to 2 and 2. So 1, 2. So 2 and 2. So 4 times 5 is 20, the minus sign. And then we've got square root of 3. Can we put these two together? No, why?
Because the bases are not the same.
The number under the radical is not the same. That's exactly it.
How did you get 20 on in the middle?
Okay, we had a 2 that came out. That's that. Then we had another 2 that came out, and then you multiply it all together. Okay? All right, so set this aside and let's look at your homework. And what I'll do is I'll call out all the answers. And then if you need me to go back and work one, I'll be happy to do that. So if you didn't do it, you need to at least write the answer down. And then if you show it to me tomorrow, I'll move your grade up to a 70 if you didn't have it with you. Okay, so segments and midpoint. Okay, they want you to find the midpoints here. You should have gotten negative 9.5, negative 4.5, 2, negative 1, 5, and 6.5. Any questions on those? Everybody's good? Okay. That was the A plus B over 2 formula. All right. I guess we should say M equals. All right. Then it says find the coordinates of the midpoint. So we had to split the midpoint X stuff apart from the midpoint Y stuff. So we've got negative 1, 4, negative 3, negative half. That's fine. As long as you have negative 0.5, that's fine. Okay, and then you either got 7 halves and negative 5 halves, or you got 3.5 and negative 2.5. Okay. And then 0 and negative 4. Now, do I need to go over this with anybody? Number 9, okay. So the midpoint X is X1 plus X2 over 2, and the midpoint Y is Y1 plus Y2 over 2. So I have X1, Y1, X2, Y2. All right, so my X, I've got 3 plus 4 over 2. So my midpoint X coordinate is 7 over 2. Okay. Now my Y, I've got negative 1 plus negative 4, so that's negative 1 minus 4 over 2. So that's negative 5 over 2. So if you want to change it, you could have done 3.5 and negative 2.5, or you could have just written the fractions in there, either way. Does that make sense? Okay, does anybody else have a question on these? Yes, ma'am.
How did you get negative 4 over 10?
Okay, so number 10,
Oh, never mind. I still have negative 10.
you see it? Okay, all right. Anybody else? Does anybody else want me to work that one? Okay, so let's flip the page. All right, now they start getting sneaky on you because they don't want, they're giving you the midpoint and you have to find an end point. Okay, so we're still using the same formulas, but we have different pieces to plug in. Okay, so number 11, you should have gotten 4, 1. Number 12, 7, negative 3. Number 13, 3, negative 2. And number 14, negative 8 and 18. Would you like me to work one of these? Everybody got it? For real? Awesome. Awesome. Okay, usually that's what throws kids right there.
Yeah, another part that I don't really get sometimes, I just have to really think hard about it, is like setting it up.
That's where the problem comes in. So when you go to set it up, just make sure you write your formula. The mx equals x1 plus x2 over 2. And if you have to, circle this and say this is the midpoint, because then that's what comes out in front. Okay? But I'm impressed y'all got it. That's awesome. My equals y1 plus y2 over 2. So if you can get that things plugged in the right place, then you're good to go. You good, Kaylee? Okay. All right. So now, number 15, you should have gotten 17.5. We used that formula for the number line. And number 16, you should have gotten 6 square root of 5. Any questions on those? Yes,
How
ma'am.
do you know its absolute value?
Because I told you. I don't have.
Yeah.
Because distance is always positive, and that's what the absolute value does. You subtract the 2, and then it makes it positive. That's what it does. But I wouldn't expect a kid to necessarily think like that. But that's good. That's good. Okay, so everybody's good on those. Okay, then the practice problems. They said the frequency, so that right there should have tuned you into mode. Which one happens the most? D is not there. for 18. 19 was the dependent variable was the price of the 4 bottles, so the total cost. And then B was the right one on number 20. Do I need to go over any of those? Okay, so put this up. And we're going to work on, no, that's tomorrow. I'm not going to be here tomorrow, so I'll have the Delta Math assignment for you. I've written a note to the substitute that you all, once she checks roll, you all can go get your computers out of the cart. But then I gave her the cleanup bell, like my alarm goes off. She needs to go back there and she needs to plug each one in and put them up. Okay. So we're adding bisectors today. Okay. So we're going to do a few problems that kind of get you warmed up that were like yesterday. Yes, ma'am.
I don't have a document.
Oh, I need to get that for you. Okay, so there's 3 of you. So once we get our notes done, then I'll get that set up for you, Jason. I'm sorry. Sit down. Go sit down.
I'm making you walk all this, but hold on, where is it? Hold on,
Okay, I'm passing out the homework so that you have it. And I've got that. Now.
You have a eraser documents?
All right. So I need to make a list. I need. What's his name saying? Okay, I need to double check those. Okay, so let's get these done real quick. We're going to find the coordinate of the midpoint of RS. So R is -2, S is 9, and we're going to divide it by 2. Okay, so that's 7 over 2, which is 3.5. So 3.5. That looks pretty good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. 5.5. That works. Okay. B is the midpoint of AC. So we draw a picture. A, C, and B is the midpoint. I often will put a B sub M so I remember it's the midpoint. What does that mean about AB versus BC? If B is the midpoint, what does that mean about the length here versus the length here? They're the same. So mark them. They're congruent. All right, now AB is Z plus 2. BC is 2Z minus 6. Now, since these are the same, what equation can I write? What do you have to do with the left side versus the right side? This is a Z. 2, A, B, C, M.
Like add and subtract numbers?
Okay. Well, we just said that the left side is the same as the right side, right? What's the only math symbol that means the same as? Equals. Equals. Okay, so we say Z plus 2 equals 2Z minus 6. Okay, solve for Z. What does Z equal? 8. And it says find Z. Bless you. So now we can double check and make sure it's right. We can do 8 plus 2. That's 10. Does that equal 2 times 8, which is 16, minus 6? 10 equals 10, so we know we got it right. Okay. All right, now let's look at number 3. It says find the coordinates of the midpoint if you're given these 2 points. Okay, so we have to split it. Okay, so midpoint X So the midpoint, did you get 1/2 and 5/2?
I got 6 over 2 and negative 2 over 2. I guess I simplified my difference.
Okay,
I did x1 minus x2.
not minus.
Add?
For midpoint, you add. For midpoint, you add.
We still have different stuff though. Like I put 4 plus negative 2.
Okay, this is X1,
Oh
Y1,
my gosh, I did x1, x2.
X2, Y2.
Oh, okay.
So negative 2 plus 3 over 2. And then 4 plus 1 over 2. Okay? So I think it should be 1/2 and 5/2. Is that what everybody got? Okay. Oh, and I don't see a point in defining midpoint again. It's the point in the middle. So, all right. Now it says M is the midpoint of AB. M is the midpoint. Okay, so find the coordinates of B. So x1 plus x2 over 2. y1 plus y2 over 2. All right, so the midpoint x value is negative 2. And that equals 3 plus x2 over 2. Okay, the midpoint of y hello. Okay, come on in. The midpoint of y, or the y value for the midpoint is 1, is equal to y1, which is 5, plus y2 over 2. Okay, so finish getting the coordinates for B. Throw those over 1, cross multiply. Did everybody get negative 7 and negative 3? Okay. Now, so we're starting the new stuff, segment bisector. Okay, segment bisector is a line that cuts another line into two equal pieces. Okay. It goes through the midpoint of the line being cut. So if they tell you something is a bisector, they may or may not mark things as being equal, but you've got to realize that if they say it's a bisector, it's cutting something into two equal pieces. Okay? So, for instance, it says B is between A and C. All right. A, C, and B. Okay. AB is 2y plus 6, and BC is y plus 8. Find the value of y. Oh, and AC, the whole thing, is 20. Okay. Find the value of y and determine if B is a bisector. Well, there should be a line going through B. Okay, but that's all right. So, what can I do with this piece and this piece to get to 20? What do I have to do to them? Add them. Yeah. 2y plus 6 plus y plus 8 equals 20. So now we combine like terms. So we've got 3y plus 6 and 8 is 14 equals 20. Finish solving. 3y equals 6, so y equals what? 2. Okay, so now we need to go back and plug in and see if we get the same thing to determine if B is a bisector. So 2 times 2 plus 6, does that equal 2 plus 8? 4 plus 6 is 10. 2 plus 8 is 10. They equal, so therefore B is a bisector. Does that make sense? You just proved it. Any questions on what we did? Okay, so flip over. All right, now, so it says use the figure below to answer these questions. Key thing here, they're saying WY bisects UV. Okay, so the first thing you need to remember, if it bisects, what's true about UY versus YV? If it cut it equally in half, what's true about this length versus that length? They're the same. So we need to put our little hash marks on there that show they're congruent. Okay. Now that also means that Y is what special point? It's the midpoint. Now this is how geometry gets sneaky, in that they just give you a statement and then they expect you to put all the ramifications of that statement on the drawing and realize it. Okay. So if you have Y as the midpoint, even if they had just said that, if they said Y was the midpoint, then you would know that UY is the same as YV. It's never going to change. But they said bisect, so same difference. Okay, so I'm going to redraw this, each one, for each problem, so that we can mark it and have a clean picture. UV, Y is in the middle, and we got W down here. Okay, UY is 5. So from here to here is 5. And it says find YV. So we want to know this one right here. And they want to know UV. Okay, so we already marked these two as being the same. So if this side's 5, then that side's 5. Okay, and then if this is 5, what do I have to do with these two pieces to get the whole thing? You add them. So there's your answers. Any questions? Okay, it's really not hard. U, V, Y, W. Okay, now, so this one, it says UY is 4x minus 3. And it says YV is x. Okay, now, find UY and find UV. So they want to know this length right here, and then they want to know the whole thing. But what equation can I write? We know this is bisecting it. So what's true about 4x minus 3 and x? They're equal. And then you just solve. Okay, now we found x. Did everybody get one? Okay, but that's not the length of UY. So we need to plug in. So 4 times 1 minus 3. So UY is 4 minus 3, which is 1. All right, well, if this is 1 right here, what's this side?
1.
It's 1. So UV is 1 plus 1, which is 2. Any questions? Okay. All right, so UV is 18. So the whole thing is 18. And UY is 9. They want to know YV. What do we know about this side versus this side? They're the same. So YV is 9. I guess technically it was the whole thing minus the part we know, which was 9. And then that left us with the part we didn't know. Okay. All right, the last one. U, V, Y, W. The whole thing is x plus 6. And UY is x minus 1. And they want to know this one. Okay, so we've been saying that the left side is the same as the right side. So what could I write in here for this piece? X minus 1. So now I've got this plus this has to equal, what's the whole thing?
6.
X plus 6, right? Okay, so x minus 1 plus x minus 1 equals x plus 6. Okay, so 2x minus 2 equals x plus 6. Go on and finish solving it. What does x equal? 8. Okay, So now they want UV, or I'm sorry, YV, which we just said was x minus 1. So 8 minus 1, which is 7. Okay, so we double check. If this is 7, that's 7. And if we did 8 plus 6, that would be 14. 7 and 7 is 14. So it works. Okay, now let's look at your homework sheet that I gave you. Can you wait just a moment? If you can't, go ahead. Okay, find the coordinate for the midpoint. So that's going to be absolute value. No, it's not. It's going to be a plus b minus 2. Divided by 2, not minus, sorry. Okay, it says W, R, and S are on the number line. W is the midpoint. Okay, so you have to find the third point. In this case, we're looking for the midpoint there. But here, this is an endpoint. So I'm just calling that out to help you get it set up right. And W is your midpoint. Okay, Y is the midpoint of XZ. So on number 5, you're looking for the midpoint. But on 6, they gave you the midpoint. So you're looking for an endpoint. Okay, Y is the midpoint on 7 and 8. So these are endpoints that you're looking for. Okay. So let's flip over. B is between A and C. Find the value and determine if it's a bisector. So A, B, C, you've got 2x plus 1, 3x minus 4, and then the whole thing is 62. With that example, you should be able to set that one up. EC bisects AD. So that means C is a midpoint and that AC and CD are the same. Okay, so that should help you a little bit there. Then you're answering all those, and then you've got some practice problems. So, Jason, let me get you to walk up here, please, so that, okay.